Hare Krishna. Today's Shrimad Bhagavatam reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chayam Narathyamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्प तरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। So today we will read Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto First. Introduction part we were reading, and we were up to this paragraph. We were reading the life and sketch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the preacher of the Bhagavad Dharma. The transcendental relationship of the pastimes of Lord is the source of still more bliss than one can experience by realization of Brahman or by becoming one with the Supreme. Had it not been so, then those who are already situated in the transcendental bliss of Brahman would not have been attracted by the transcendental bliss of the pastimes of the Lord. After this, a great meeting was arranged by the devotees of the Lord in which all the sannyasis were invited, including the Lord and Prakashananda Saraswati. In this meeting, both the scholars, the Lord and Prakashananda, had a long discourse on the spiritual values of the Sankirtana movement, and a summary is given below. The great Mayavadi sannyasi Prakashananda inquired from the Lord as to the reason for his preferring the Sankirtana movement to the study of the Vedanta Sutra. Prakashananda said that it is the duty of a sannyasi to read the Vedanta Sutra. What caused the Lord to indulge in Sankirtana? After this inquiry, the Lord submissively replied, I have taken to the Sankirtan movement instead of the study of the Vedanta Sutra because I am a great fool. The Lord thus represented himself as one of the numberless fools of this age who are absolutely incapable of studying the Vedanta philosophy. The fool's indulgence in the study of Vedanta has caused so much havoc in society. The Lord thus continued, and because I am a great fool, my spiritual master forbade me to play with Vedanta philosophy. He said that it is better that I chant the holy name of the Lord, for that would deliver me from material bondage. In this age of Kali, there is no other religion but the glorification of the Lord by utterance of the holy name, and that is the injunction of all the revealed scriptures. And my spiritual master has taught me one shloka from the Brihannaradiya Puran. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasti eva nasti eva nasti eva gati ranyatha. So, on the order of my spiritual master, I chant the holy name of Hari, and I am now mad after this holy name. Whenever I utter the holy name, I forget myself completely, and sometimes I laugh, cry, and dance like a madman. I thought that I had actually gone mad by this process of chanting, and therefore I asked my spiritual master about it. He informed me that this was the real effect of chanting the holy name, which produces a transcendental emotion that is a rare manifestation. It is the sign of love of God, which is the ultimate end of life. Love of God is transcendental to liberation, mukti, and thus it is called the fifth stage of spiritual realization, above the stage of liberation. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one attains the stage of love of God, and it was good that fortunately I was favored with the blessing. On hearing this statement from the Lord, the Mayavadi sannyasi asked the Lord, what was the harm in studying the Vedanta along with chanting the holy name? Prakashananda Saraswati knew well that the Lord was formerly known as Nimai Pandit, a very learned scholar of Navadvipa, and his posing as a great fool was certainly to some purpose. Hearing this inquiry by the sannyasi, the Lord smiled and said, my dear sir, if you do not mind, I will answer your inquiry. All the sannyasis there were very much pleased with the Lord for his honest dealings, and there they unanimously replied that they would not be offended by whatever he replied. The Lord then spoke as follows. Vedanta Sutra consists of transcendental words or sounds uttered by the transcendental personality of Godhead. As such, in the Vedanta, there cannot be any human deficiencies like mistake, illusion, cheating, or inefficiency. The message of the Upanishads is expressed in the Vedanta Sutra, and what is said there directly is certainly glorified. Whatever interpretations have been given by Shankaracharya have no direct bearing on the Sutra, and therefore such commentation spoils everything. The word Brahman indicates the greatest of all, which is full with transcendental opulences superior to all. Brahman is ultimately the personality of Godhead, and he is covered by indirect interpretations and established as impersonal. Everything that is in the spiritual world is full of transcendental bliss, including the form, body, place, and paraphernalia of the Lord. All are eternally cognizant and blissful. It is not the fault of the Acharya Shankara that he has so interpreted Vedanta. But if someone accepts it, then certainly he is doomed. Anyone who accepts the transcendental body of the personality of Godhead as something mundane certainly commits the greatest blasphemy. The Lord thus spoke to the sannyasi almost in the same way that he spoke to the Bhattacharya of Puri, and by forceful arguments he nullified the Mayavada interpretations of the Vedanta Sutra. All the sannyasis there claimed that the Lord was the personified Vedas and the personality of Godhead. All the sannyasis were converted to the cult of bhakti. All of them accepted the holy name of the Lord Shri Krishna, and they dined together with the Lord in the midst of them. After this conversion of the sannyasis, the popularity of the Lord increased at Varanasi, and thousands of people assembled to see the Lord in person. The Lord thus established the primary importance of Shrimad Bhagavatam Dharma, and he defeated all other systems of spiritual realization. After that, everyone at Varanasi was overwhelmed with the transcendental Sankirtana movement. While the Lord was camping at Varanasi, Sanatan Goswami also arrived after retiring from office. He was formerly one of the state ministers in the government of Bengal, then under the regime of Nawab Hussain Shah. He had some difficulty in getting relief from the state service, for the Nawab was reluctant to let him leave. Nonetheless, he came to Varanasi, and the Lord taught him the principles of devotional service. He taught him about the constitutional position of the living being, the cause of his bondage under material conditions, his eternal relation with the personality of Godhead, the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his expansions in different plenary portions of incarnations, his control of different parts of the universe, the nature of his transcendental abode, devotional activities, their different stages of development, the rules and regulations for achieving the gradual stages of spiritual perfection, the symptoms of different incarnations in different ages, and how to detect them with reference to the context of revealed scriptures. The Lord's teachings of Sanatan to Sanatan Goswami form a big chapter in the text of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and to explain the whole teachings in minute details will require a volume in itself. These are treated in detail in our book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. At Mathura, the Lord visited all the important places. Then he reached Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya appeared in the family of a high caste Brahmana, and over and above that, as a sannyasi, he was the preceptor for all the Varnas and ashramas. But he used to accept meals from all classes of Vaishnavas. At Mathura, the Sanodiya Brahmanas are considered to be in the lower status of society, but the Lord accepted meals in the family of such a Brahmana also, because his host happened to be a disciple of the Madhavendra Puri family. At Vrindavan, the Lord took bath in 24 important bathing places or ghatas. He traveled to all the 12 important vanas forests. In these forests, all the cows and birds welcomed him as if he were their very old friend. The Lord also began to embrace all the trees of those forests, and by doing so, he felt the symptoms of transcendental ecstasy. Sometimes he fell unconscious, but he was made to regain consciousness by the chanting of the holy name of the Krishna. The transcendental symptoms that were visible on the body of the Lord during his travel within the forest of Vrindavana were all unique and inexplicable, and we have just given a synopsis only. Some of the important places that were visited by the Lord in Vrindavan were Kamayavana, Kamyavana, Adishwar, Bhavana Sarovar, Khandirvan, Sheshahi, Sheshahi, Khelatirtha, Bhandirvan, Bhadravan, Shrivan, Lavhavan, Mahavan, Gokul, Kaliyarada, Dwadasaditya, Keshitirtha, etc. When he saw the place where the Ras dance took place, he at once fell down in trance. As long as he remained at Vrindavana, he made his headquarters at Akrura Ghat. From Vrindavan, his personal servitor Krishnadas Vipra induced him to go back to Prayag to take bath during the Magh Mela. The Lord accepted to this proposal, and they started for Prayag. On the way, they met with some Pathans, amongst whom there was a learned Maulana. The Lord had some talks with the Maulana and his companions, and the Lord convinced the Maulana that in the Quran also there are descriptions of Bhagavad Dharma and Krishna. All the Pathans were converted to his cult of devotional service. When he returned to Prayag, Sri Rupa Goswami and his youngest brother met him near Bindu Madhav temple. This time, the Lord was welcomed by the people of Prayag more respectfully. Vallabh Bhatt, who resided on the other bank of Prayag in the village of Adaila, was to receive him at his place. But while going there, the Lord jumped in the river Yamuna. With great difficulty, he was picked up in an unconscious state. Finally, he visited the headquarters of Vallabha Bhatt. This Vallabha Bhatt was one of his chief admirers, but later on he inaugurated his own party, the Vallabha Sampradaya. On the bank of the Dashashwamedh Ghat at Prayag, for 10 days continually, the Lord instructed Rupa Goswami in the science of devotional service to the Lord. He taught the Goswami the divisions of the living creatures in the 84 lakh species of life. Then he taught him about the human species. Out of them, he discussed the followers of the Vedic principles. Out of them, the fruitive workers. Out of them, the empiric philosophers. And out of them, the liberated souls. He said that there are only a few who are actually pure devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. Shri Rupa Goswami was the younger brother of Sanatan Goswami, and when he retired from service, he brought with him two boatfuls of gold coins. This means that he brought with him some hundreds of thousands of rupees accumulated by the labor of his service. And before leaving home for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he divided the wealth as follows: 50% for the service of the Lord and his devotees, 25% for relatives, and 25% for his personal needs in case of emergency. In that way, he set an example for all householders. The Lord taught the Goswami about devotional service, comparing it to a creeper, and advised him to protect the bhakti creeper most carefully against the mad elephant offense against the pure devotees. In addition, the creeper has to be protected from the desires of sense enjoyment, monastic liberation, and perfection of the Hatha Yoga system. They are all detrimental on the path of devotional service. Similarly, violence against living beings and desire for worldly gain, worldly reception, and worldly fame are all detrimental to the progress of bhakti or Bhagavad Dharma. Pure devotional service must be freed from all desires for sense gratification, fruitive aspirations, and culture of monastic knowledge. One must be freed from all kinds of designations, and when one is thus converted to transcendental purity, one can then serve the Lord by purified senses. As long as there is a desire to enjoy sensually, or to become one with the Supreme, or to possess the mystic powers, there is no question of attaining the stage of pure devotional service. Devotional service is conducted under two categories, namely primary practice and spontaneous emotion. When one can rise to the platform of spontaneous emotion, he can make further progress by spiritual attachment, feeling, love, and many higher stages of devotional life for which there are no English words. We have tried to explain the science of devotional service in our book, The Nectar of Devotion, based on the authority of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. Transcendental devotional service has 5 stages of reciprocation. The self-realization stage just after liberation from material bondage is called the Shanta or neutral stage. 2. After that, when there is development of transcendental knowledge of the Lord's internal opulences, the devotee engages himself in the Dasya stage. 3. By further development of the Dasya stage, a respectful fraternity with the Lord develops, and above that, a feeling of friendship on equal terms becomes manifest. Both these stages are called the Sakhya stage or devotional service in friendship. 4. Above this is the stage of parental affection toward the Lord, and this is called the Vatsalya stage. 5th, and above this is the stage of conjugal love, and this stage is called the highest stage of love of God, although there is no difference in quality in any of the above stages. The last stage of conjugal love of God is called the Madhurya stage. Thus, he instructed Rupa Goswami in devotional science and deputed him to Vrindavan to excavate the lost sites of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. After this, the Lord returned to Varanasi and delivered the sannyasis and instructed the elder brother of Rupa Goswami. We have already discussed this. The Lord left only 8 shlokas of his instructions in writing, and they are known as the Shikshashtaka. All other literatures of his divine cult were extensively written by the Lord's principal followers, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and their followers. The cult of Chaitanya philosophy is richer than any other, and it is admitted to be the living religion of the day with the potency for spreading as Vishwadharma or universal religion. We are glad that the matter has been taken up by some enthusiastic sages like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj and his disciples. We shall eagerly wait for the happy days of Bhagavad Dharma or Prema Dharma inaugurated by the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The 8 shlokas completed by the Lord are: 1. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. 2. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. 3. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. 4. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. 5. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. 6. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? 7. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. And 8. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापणं श्रेयस्कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदां पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निजसर्वशक्तिः स्तत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन कालः एतादशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशं ह्या जनुनानुराग तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानेन मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिर्हेतुकी त्वयि ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मा विषमे भवाम्बुधो कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थित धूलिसदृशं विचिन्तये नयनं गलगदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपु कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वां पादरतां पिनष्टु मां दर्शनान् मर्महतान् करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, this is the introduction part of Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Now we will go ahead and we will start with the chapter 1, questions by the sages. In that, this is the text 1. Shrimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. जन्मादियस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्थेष्व अभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरया तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. Okay, we will not read this word-to-word meaning. We'll directly read translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes, of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Purport. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Shri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Shri Vyasdeva asserts herein that Shri Krishna is the original personality of a Godhead, and all other are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Shri Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Shri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Samaveda, it is also stated that Lord Shri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first position holds that Lord Shri Krishna is the primary Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the names of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Shri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramhansas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. Vasudeva, or Lord Shri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Purana because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. The history of the Shrimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Shri Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Shri Naradji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the four divisions of the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Shri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of this work, but in order to reach to the very substance, and one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation. At night, he sees the stars in the sky and he naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animals. The author of Shrimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Shri Krishna is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator of the universe but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time and then it is annihilated by his will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead. In Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth personality of Godhead is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living beings, and above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities. And the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Living Being has the greatest intelligence and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Shri Vasudev, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as the Parameshwara. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence addressed as the Mother or the Parameshwara, supreme personality of Godhead. And that Parameshwara is Shri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Shri Vasudev, and specifically in this Shrimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva Samambonam than himself. Therefore, Sri Vasudev at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto and especially to the 5 chapters which describe the Lord's Rasa dance. This portion of the Shrimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called Rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahansa can transcendentally relish this rasa dance. Sri Vasudev therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, his name, his fame, his qualities, and so on. Shrimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord manifested by his internal potency, and this potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Shri Vasudev makes a clear distinction between the two in this sloka. Shri Vasudev says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In the desert mirage, there is no actual water. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow is in the spiritual world. Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results from interaction of the three modes of nature, and temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of a reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appears in so many spaces of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality. However, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the personality of a Godhead eternally exists with his transcendental paraphernalia. The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction, both directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of a Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods. Beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no one is independent in the material creation. The hand of the Lord is seen everywhere. All material elements as well as all spiritual sparks emanate from him only. And whatever is created in this material world is but the interaction of two energies, the material and the spiritual, which emanate from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen, but in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord, and the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details, and he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to objects made from the gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mind is different. Therefore, the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth. Okay, so this is very big purport. We will read it in two halves. From conditioned souls, we will read in the next session on conditioned soul. So today we will conclude here and continue in the next session. Thank you very much. Jai Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada.